No matter how much we may want it to be, life is not easy. Hey, stop smiling like that. This shit is serious. Sometimes in life, you put in such an inordinate amount of work and you receive nothing in return. Sometimes, hard work just isn't enough. I've been thinking a lot about the concept of hard work. The overarching lesson that adults often impart to children is that if you work hard, you'll get everything you earn. But that's not necessarily true. People work 70 hours a week and still struggle to pay their rent. In other parts of the world, those hours of work barely bring enough to eat a meal at the end of the day. You know, in Naruto... Oh my god, I'm so stupid for this. Even in media, we see this concept of people working hard, not getting what they've earned. Rock Lee was definitely the hardest working character in the entirety of Naruto. There's just no contest. And you know what he got for all that hard work? He got hoed by the plot in his fight with Gaara. And then they just turned him into an actual extra for the rest of the show. People talk about 10-10 in the swing set, but low-key, Lee up there too. Rock Lee is probably the best example I can think of in media, where he just puts in so much work and so much effort, and then he just gets nothing out of it. By the end of Shippuden, Rock Lee and the Ichiraku ramen guy had the same level of importance to the story. Actually, Lee might have been a little less. And it's not just in media. I don't watch a lot of sports. I'm not super entertained by a lot of sports. However, there are a few sports that I'm really locked into, like extreme tag and whatever this is. But one sport I am really locked into is MMA. I really like MMA, like a lot. And yeah, the fan base is arguably worse than the My Hero fan base, while also being 1000% more racist. But the sport in of itself, I'm a really big fan of it. I wouldn't call myself a hardcore fan. Like, I'm not out here watching Antarctica MMA promotions, but I watch all the big guys. I watch UFC, I watch ONE, PFL. I think I'm gonna try and watch Ryzen. The sport itself is sick. Watching two people engage in a chess match to try and beat the other one is awesome. Sometimes you get generational fights. Sometimes you don't. But what I love about MMA is that everyone who is good and everybody who's entertaining and fun to watch puts in such a stupid amount of effort to get where they are. And you end up watching all of their journeys and consciously putting all your confidence behind them. It is arguably the most parasocial sport on earth, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I've watched fighters I really like lose, and then I was sick for 3 days afterwards. Which is kind of why I brought this up. This is a combat sport, and typically with combat sports, there are titles. Something to differentiate all the random chuds from the goats of the sport at that particular time. And sometimes, the people you love to fight, the guys you've been supporting for a minute, the ones you always root for, get a chance to fight for a title, and sometimes they lose. It's a sobering visual. Watching this guy who you had so much confidence in, and were so convinced he was gonna win, get slumped in round 1 by some guy from Serbia is an insane visual. It's extremely disappointing because you know when you lose like that, you're not seeing another title shot for a minute. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you aren't able to achieve what you want despite working harder than everyone else. So what do you do at that point? You're in that position where you're like, okay, I've been hoed on the Chunin exams, and now Choji has more screen time than me. I've been brutally slept by a Mongolian national. It seems like everything is going wrong. Shouldn't I just quit? It's clear that I'm not going to be able to reach the heights that I want to reach. Why don't I just call it? Because you would be a fucking loser. A lot of people have this really bad habit of quitting the second they reach any resistance. Play one game of ranked Marvel Rivals and tell me that's not the truth. And I can't lie, I'm guilty of this too. But there is a difference between signing that shit off as a personality trait versus it being something that you actively fight against. You should never resign yourself to a failure, because the second you do, it's guaranteed. Because let's say it's not going well for you and you just quit. How do you know you won't clutch up at the very end? How do you know you won't go 30-4 and also get MVP? I think the Marvel Rivals connection has run its course here. But seriously, why on earth would you think a failure is where it ends? Life is a collection of failures and successes. The way to ensure you do good is to change the way you look at both. It's not I either win or I lose. That's for kids and my ranked teammates. Yeah, we're not done with this yet. The real phrase should be I either win or I learn. That's it. When you make the decision to use every failure and every victory as a learning experience, you never really lose at anything. You're just taking a second to lock in. I think society has a really incorrect stance on failure. Like, failure is something we can never allow to happen to ourselves, or we're just cooked. Like, yeah, not achieving a goal sucks, having a bad day sucks, having things go wrong sucks. It can even be really painful, but I can think of something worse. Well, actually, I can think of a lot of worse things, but one particular thing is not achieving your goal and also not learning from the experience of failure. To take it back to MMA, all my favorite fighters have lost before. And if we're being honest, they actually got way better after they lost. It was like a Zenkai boost. That's what everybody should be treating a misstep as. A Zenkai boost, so you could go beat the shit out of Frieza and still get slumped. Failure is a part of life. So if you're not failing, you're not living. And if you're not living, he was just a kid. The question of what to do when hard work isn't enough is a trick question, because hard work will always be enough. Maybe you won't be able to get everything you've ever wanted and dreamed about. Hell, maybe you won't be able to get anything. Sometimes shit just goes like that. But it sure as hell beats doing nothing and turning that maybe into a definitely. And if you do actually live your whole life working yourself to the bone and at the end have nothing to show for it, at least people saw you do it and took the lesson. That was tough. I'm low-key philosophical. Okay. Bye, guys.
I step on the stage and shorty start screaming my name. I dirty one cup, but no, this ain't no drain. Niggas love to just hate, but watch when you getting paid. I'm really over the leash, like no, I was a 10. Bang roll came forward and really